all love to fool ourselves and believe that we're in complete control of our own lives. But newsflash, people, in reality, no, you're not. Now, what if I were to tell you that most of your thoughts and ideas, and hell, even to a certain extent, your dreams, were put in your head by some external source? And that very same external source profits from you buying into and believing and executing on these ideologies and ideas. So now every time you turn on your TV, or hell, you open your phone, or you just decide to scroll through social media, now you're believing that it is just for entertainment purposes, right? Unfortunately, let me explain to you what's really happening behind the scenes that most people probably are not aware of. Every time we do that on social media, watch TV or scroll or whatever, we're being quietly trained. Those powers that be, the big media companies, they're simply playing on our fears and anger and stroking that sense of pride and loyalty to our country. And all this is done way before we ever get a chance to stop and question, is what I'm seeing or hearing or being fed through this feed even really true? Because most people don't investigate. They just accept it as being true. We know that now. And they've gotten really, really good at this too through research. They know exactly what buttons to push, what type of content to provide us with to get us where they need us to go, or where they want us to be. And please, I've read the research on this, so don't sit and tell me that I'm exaggerating or I'm making this up. Because if you want, you can actually go and check these facts for yourself. To my knowledge, unless there have recently been more, and I don't think there have been, there are 6 major media corporations in this country that control almost everything that we see, read, or hear. Movies, social media, everything. So in a nutshell, there's this big organization, not even that big, of billionaires and multimillionaires who control which stories are going to air, which stories are going to go viral, which stories are going to get buried, which stories we should be seeing, but they're never going to see the light of day. And also they have the power to take a story, which perhaps shouldn't be news, and escalate it into some type of a nationwide conflict, which we've seen that many, many times before. And to me, people, and this is just my own personal opinion, when you have that kind of power, when you wield that type of influence, that's no longer just journalism. That's big media's manipulation of people's minds. I always remember something, and I heard this a long time ago. He who controls the media controls the thinking of the masses. And know, too, that all of this is done, these decisions are made in the dark behind closed doors. Why is that? If it affects the public, why are we not being made aware of it? Ask yourself, why is that? And my understanding of journalists and journalism was they were supposed to simply report the facts back to us and allow us as the consumer to make our own decisions based upon the facts. They weren't supposed to try to manipulate us or the facts or influence the facts or us in any way. But we know that not to be true. Nowadays, big media, they don't just report what happens anymore. They actually actively interject their beliefs and ideologies into them. They'll go as far as to name an enemy for you. They'll pick a war that you should fight, which side you should fight on. And then they'll hand you a script, sit back and watch while you and your neighbor go to war over it. And you and your neighbor may have been friends, family, whatever. But now, because of this and them interjecting themselves into us and us not realizing it, we're now mortal enemies. And all over something that was started by someone else. And so all the while, you guys are clueless. You're just acting off raw emotion, right? You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. But in reality, these companies, they're so influential, man, that they never have to get their hands dirty. They're fighting, in essence, a proxy war, and we're their proxies. We are their de facto infantry soldiers, so to speak. Here's another brutal truth for you guys to try to digest. That side that You love to claim so much the one that you're going to fight for. I'm going to fight for this side. Spoiler alert. You didn't pick that side. That was picked for you. And by an algorithm, nonetheless. And it was all based upon not how tough you are, what you believe, but on your data, your habits, and your emotions. So I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of you internet warriors, but hey, welcome to the internet. And then these companies, man, they're insidious. They'll turn around and feed one side a narrative of facts, and then turn right around and feed the other side a different narrative of the facts with a little spin on it. And now both sides, man, because of misinformation, they're fired up. They're ready to go. They're at each other's throat. Boom, 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 boom. They're mad. And guess what's happening in the background? While both sides are mad at each other, trying to annihilate each other, trying to destroy each other, the puppet masters, the one who are truly in control, are steadily cashing out. And from both sides. Because they don't care who wins. They don't care who loses. It's a win-win for them. They're just simply utilizing one of the oldest tenets of war known to mankind, and that's divide and conquer. You know, you start a conflict between two opponents, right? To keep them from uniting together against a common enemy. And usually the reason you do that is because you're that common enemy that you're trying to keep them from uniting against. Ask yourself this. Think hard on this, people. What common enemy does both sides have that wields that much power to be able to influence decisions like this being made? And who benefits from all this anger and division? I think I know, but I'm not going to say. I'll tell you this, the whole divide and conquer thing is sad, man, because it's one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's been used since biblical days. Yet here we are in 2025, almost 2026, AI, internet, damn near self-driving cars, and we're still falling for the bullshit. We're still allowing ourselves to be divided by outside sources influencing us. So people, let's quit pretending here and call it what it is. We're no longer simply being informed. We're being instructed. We're being played and we don't even realize it. We're being played right into rage and division, and they're keeping us, they're using that to keep us angry at each other's throats for so long and all the time. And you want to know why they want to keep us angry and divided? Because angry people don't think straight. And if you never get the chance to think straight, clear your mind, you never get to stop and question, who's really pulling the strings? And what's this all for? You see, people, what they've learned is that they can use our anger as a weapon against us. And it's working very efficiently. Look at the country. So now you have to ask yourself one more question. If they can secretly manipulate our feelings and our thoughts and even to some extent our ideas, how many of those so-called I'm willing to die for this opinions that people love to shoot off and spout about all day long are really even yours to begin with? And how many of those ideas were planted by someone else because it benefits them? You're just a recipient of it. Gives you a little something to think about, huh? One of those things that make you go, But don't worry about it. Don't worry about it that much, because I'm going to do a deep dive into this subject in the next video, because I want to know. I really do. This is starting to bug me. What happened? But I'll digress. In the meantime, how does knowing all this now make you feel about big media and the information that you receive from them? Do you still trust them? Do you still trust the information? Do you think you should do more research on that? And understanding, too, that we're being used as a pawn in a game that we had no idea about, right? We don't know the proposed outcome of the game that they want. We don't know who it benefits. We don't know who it hurts. We don't know any of that. How do you feel about being used without your consent? Drop it down in the comments and let's talk about it. This is something that fascinates me. It infuriates me and fascinates me at the same time, but I don't like being used. I really don't. And people, I'm going to tell you something. Until we start to recognize what's going on, what's happening, and it's happening to all of us, and start taking the appropriate action towards stopping this type of manipulation, people, we're nothing more than puppets without strings. We're being played by outside sources. And I don't know about you, but me, I'm tired of performing. Hey, just Unc's words of wisdom.